Now, WCTV Sports from the Tallahassee Harley-Davidson Sports Desk.
A big man with a big heart. That's Dillan Gibbons. The offensive lineman is now at Florida State as a grad transfer after 4 years of playing with Notre Dame. But he's so much more than just a football player, using his platform and name to make a lasting difference in one young man's life.
Dillan Gibbons says he could talk for hours about his relationship with Timothy Donovan, but he has to start where it all began, the moments after his first game at Notre Dame.
I walked outside of Notre Dame's facilities, kind of towards Touchdown Jesus, and I was approached by like 40 kids. All the kids want a piece of memorabilia, whether it's my hat I have in my head or the gloves I have in my hand. And I made eye contact with Timothy, the only person that was actually looking me in the eyes.
Timothy and his family are die-hard Irish fans. Getting the chance to meet a Notre Dame football player was more than enough, but what spawned from a random act of kindness turned into so much more.
Right away, Dillan came over and started talking to Timothy, and it was pretty cool because he kneeled down with him and started talking to him, gave him his gloves, and ever since then, they've just been really good friends.
It was just one of those kind of organic relationships that you read about in stories, but you never think is going to happen to you.
Gibbons left without gloves on his hands and a lot on his mind. He had just played his first game in a Notre Dame uniform, an experience like no other. But it was his interaction with Timothy that left Gibbons wanting more.
A lot of people, they'll walk into his life and walk out the same day. You see, a lot of people don't give him the benefit of the doubt. They'll give him a relationship for 24 hours and then never speak to him again. So I didn't want to treat him like that. I wanted to build a real relationship with him.
Born with an anatomical condition called VACTERL, or defects of the vertebrae, Timothy wasn't expected to survive. Later, he was diagnosed with Charcot-Marie tooth, an incurable disease that affects the nerves in his hands and feet. And after that, a bout with thyroid cancer. In total, Timothy has had over 50 surgeries in his life, and more battles at 18 years old than many have in a lifetime.
Imagine never being able to put a pair of shoes on your feet. Something we take for granted every single day of our lives, just having the ability to put on a pair of shoes. He just had an incredibly tough life, and I wanted to do as much as I could for him possible.
Fast forward to 2021. Gibbons, now a graduate transfer at Florida State. His first game as a Seminole against those familiar Golden Domes, a moment he couldn't imagine having without Timothy.
When I thought about Timothy and I thought about what the potential was, what I could do for him when I was able to use my name, image, and likeness, I started writing down a game plan.
After over a year of planning, Gibbons started a GoFundMe to take Timothy to Tally, and it took off. In just 24 hours, it raised over $30,000. Timothy, he's pumped.
I would like to thank my good friend Dillan for setting this fundraiser up. Next, I would like to thank everyone who has shared and donated. I really appreciate the love and support. I'm so excited and looking forward to sharing for my friends that live in Florida.
Timothy's parents, overcome with gratitude, thankful for someone like Dillan.
What touched my heart is just Dillan saw more in Timothy than his disability or a wheelchair. He got to know him and for who he is. So if anything out of this, story, give people a chance. Just get to know them and you'll be surprised.
And for Dillan, the feeling is mutual.
Me and Timothy have had two radically different kind of paths in our lives, but we're very like-minded individuals. And the way I see it, I believe that if Timothy was in my shoes, he'd be working this hard for me.
A unique and inspiring friendship, deeper than the surface. As far as Timothy's rooting interest in this one, he'll change his allegiances on September 5th.
Oh no.
So Timothy is coming to Tallahassee. Lodging is covered. A nurse has volunteered to travel with the family, and Garnet and Gold is even giving Timothy and his family some gear. Gibbons' GoFundMe is now well over 40 grand with a new $75,000 goal. Every cent going to the Donovan family. the epitome of compassion and making one young man's challenging life a little bit brighter.